This is going to be a little different. I thought of several different intros for this video, and I couldn't decide which one to go with. Hi, I'm Bill Snodgrass, and this video is one part tutorial, one part editorial, and one part inspirational. If you're a photographer, or if you're a model, or if you look at pictures of models that photographers took, you need to watch this video. No one looks like this. No one. Not even the person in the picture. So, I am Bill Snodgrass, and in this video I am going to do a little bit of a tutorial on a Photoshop editing add-on. And I'm also want to talk to photographers a little bit about kind of an ethical consideration with regards to editing portraits. And I also want to talk to people who look at Instagram or Facebook or wherever you're looking at, Pinterest, and seeing all these pictures of perfect people who probably really don't exist. So there's a story. And as a writer, of course, there has to be a story. I got to tell a story. So here's the story. So I have a class, 7th period, and in the way our schedule works out, lunch falls in the middle of 7th period. So they come to class for a while, and they go to lunch, and then they come back. And in that little come back period, a lot of the times students have finished their work before they go into lunch. So they do work for other classes or whatever. So I looked over, and there was a group of students who were standing up, and they were all kind of looking at each other's phones. And so, I always want to make sure there's, being appropriate. Also, I'm interested in their lives. So I went over to see what they're doing, and they were looking at Instagram. And they were looking particularly they were looking at like glamorous female models on Instagram and talking about, hair and eyes and makeup. And I mentioned that there was an account that the photography club kids really like to look at as far as how models pose and to get ideas of how to pose other models. So I showed them on my Instagram, flipped through this model's account, and so the conversation was like, yeah, well, she's really pretty, and she is a really pretty model, and she's also very well edited in Photoshop. So I turned to one of the students who looks similar to the model, and I said, you look a little bit like her. And the young lady said, no, I don't look anything like that. And I said in reply, neither does she. And that's kind of the thing that drives this video. Is the response to, so I have permission to use this student in videos and educational purposes, and this is, I believe, a worthy cause to use that permission slip. So Lily says that she doesn't look like this person, and my response was, neither does she really. And so we set up this exercise. I talked her into letting me take a picture of her in class. So what you can see in the picture is, you can see that she's a very, very nice looking typical freshman high school student. What you can't see is that she's a really sweet, kind person. If you know her, you can kind of get a glimmer of her sweetness in her expression. But if you just look at the picture, you really don't know anything about her personality. You don't know that she works hard in class and that she excels in everything that she does. You don't know about her sports participation. You don't know about anything about her. You just get this visual image, and that's all you have. And so that's kind of the first point of this video. Is the portraits are simply physical representations of the person, and they are not the person. And a person's value is far greater than what a person looks like. So that's kind of the first point, and that's kind of a subtle side point. So Lily agreed to be a part of this experiment, this exercise, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this image. I'm going to turn screen capture on. I'm going to go through a real quick editing tutorial. I'll use a a filter tool that I have. So I'm very quickly I'm gonna go through the just kind of walk through my workflow of how I edit pictures for portraits. And so this is kind of the tutorial part, and then I'm gonna get to the editorial part, and then I'm gonna get to the message to people who look at these things. So first of all, this picture was shot as a JPEG. I've explained in another video, I do a lot of JPEGs because the people who ultimately end up using the pictures I take are not necessarily able to work with the RAW files. But Photoshop has this camera raw filter. It does an awful lot of the same things that you can do with a RAW file. So what we're going to try to accomplish in the RAW filter is we're going to try to get the color, the depth of the color. We're going to try to accomplish some changes there. I always kind of like to drop the blacks, drop the shadows a little bit. Let's see. Maybe just a breath more vibrance and clarity a little bit. And I have found that if I add just a little sharpening to the JPEG files, that I end up appreciating them more. And so I use the raw filter as kind of as a launching point, and then sometimes I will do healing brush first, and then sometimes I'll do healing brush after. So I've never met a teenager that doesn't benefit from some cosmetic work. So I think it's just part of being a teenager. So after I bring it out of the camera raw filter, I use the healing brush, the spot healing brush, and take care of the more prominent blemishes. And this is where the first ethical consideration comes in. That was a mole. I just took a mole off of her face. That was not a pimple. So what does that say? There's an ethical consideration to what I just did. Does it say you're not good enough as you are because you have a mole on your whatever it was that I took it off of? You're not good enough. Is that what that says? What message are we as photo editors sending to the subjects of our work? This line here, leave it, take it out, leave it. The filter is going to take it out. I'm just going to leave it. So using the spot healing brush, and I use it on content aware as a starting point. Almost always content aware will do a really good job. And you can obviously spend as much time as you have tweaking the complexion. Then I duplicate the layer, because I want to be able to go back to this and do different things to it. And so after I have done this next step, it's going to be this layer is going to be completely different. And if I wanted to go back to the original, I would not be. I would have to reload the file. So sometimes I duplicate the background before I even start, even before I do the first two steps. So I have a filter from Anthropics called PortraitPro. So we have a picture of Lily that, with just some basic photoshopping, it proves her to be a very, very, very attractive young lady, very pretty. The first thing PortraitPro does is it attempts to identify faces in the picture. So PortraitPro has just decided to throw the default filter on here, and you can already see that with no clicks, it has done a fantastic job of transforming Lily from a very pretty young lady to what PortraitPro considers a prettier young lady. I love this app. I use this. You'll see the fingerprints of PortraitPro on almost all my Instagram portrait work. But one of the things that I generally have to do is kind of help it find the nose. Occasionally it will miss a little bit of the mouth. I think it's okay this time. Sometimes the eyes, and almost always the eyebrow, needs to be slightly adjusted. You just grab the control points and move it around, and where these control points are influences how it repaints the picture. And so if you get the control points, particularly the eye ones, if you get them in the right place, then the magic can really happen very quickly. The face contour line isn't really good. Sometimes I might move that one down just a fuzz, and now we have the control points in the right place. To get this back into Photoshop, I just hit return from plugin, and this default set of filters is applied to the new layer. And so now we have before and after, before and after. Duplicate this layer. So we are on a new layer, readjusting the control points. This time it got that one in the right place. Let's move the nose just a little bit. So in this edit, I'm going to push this application a little farther. I'm going to the face sculpting. If I turn face sculpting off, it unsculpts the face. This is whatever reason the algorithms that decide what the perfect face looks like wanted to adjust your face a little bit. Now, ethically, when the client is the subject, I turn this off because I really feel like saying, well, you know, the software thought your face was shaped wrong. I feel like that's a little bit of an insult. I can change the size of the eyes. I can change how big the eyes are, how much they're open, and create all manner of who knows what with this. And there are presets. And this is glamorous, and this is glamorous 2, and this is the standard edit. We'll just jump into glamorous 2. A little more sculpting of the face in glamorous 2, and it did some things elsewhere as well. Close that. Skin smoothing. Yeah, who needs imperfections? Let's get rid of those guys. Pores. Who wants skin pores? No one wants skin pores. Let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of the pores. We don't need pores. Don't want to sharpen it any. So sharpening is going to obviously kind of undo the smoothing process. So you don't like the eyebrows? We can adjust the eyebrows. Lines around the mouth? Not a problem. We'll get rid of them. This is an amazing tool. But as a photographer who's editing client photos, you have to be very conscientious, because you don't want to turn this back and someone go, oh, you mean that's what I'm supposed to look like? I look like this and I'm supposed to look like this? No one looks like this. Eyes. One of the things I do like to do, and I do this for most of my clients, is I add a little more catch light in. I usually just grab what is in here called one small dot or one medium dot, and then I use the nudge to put it over the dot that's already there. So this is on the left eye. I'm going to move it over, and then I'm going to move it up until it's just added to the catch light that's already there. This is the right eye. And the catch lights on a front-on view, catch lights are going to end up being in the same place. So there's your little tutorial tip. And I like to put it where it's just touching what's already there. It just pops the eyes a little bit more. This application will let you change the eye color. I don't want to do that. Sharpen the eyes. I whitening. All of these things are things that you can do to improve or enhance what's already there. Make the eyes turn into anime eyes. But just find something where the eyes just kind of pop out and look really, really sharp. So that's something that it doesn't really, I don't think it really changes the identity of the person. And it does, the eyes are such an important part. This is the one where you can make huge drama. So this is a lighting control. I can move the lighting around to different parts of the picture and change the way that the picture is lighted. I usually like to make it match what is already there, and this is how bright the light is and how diffuse it is. And so I'm going to put the light kind of where it already was. Then there's two types of lighting. There's a fix and a modeling light. The modeling light very dramatically changes, and fixed light almost transforms the person into I don't even know what. If I were selling lipstick and we don't really want a person, we just want a mannequin on which to display our lipstick, then you might want this might be where this comes in. And this is the next ethical point. Who is your client and what do they expect? Is it a portrait for the subject, in which case they expect to kind of look like themselves? Or is it a shot that you're selling to a perfume company or a watch company or a car company, in which case they don't have to look like the original person to start with? So I'm going to turn this down just because I think it's way too much. You can also enhance shadow. So the shadow on her face is on this side, which they're going to call that the left, even though it's her right. I can enhance the shadow on her face. And then this side, I can kick this. They call this the kick. And so that would be the right side of the picture. So I can bring that up, and then I'm going to tweak this a little bit more. And now we have gone from this to that, whatever that is. This to that. And suddenly, I'm no longer editing Lily. I'm now editing a set of pixels that began with Lily, and now they are someone else. This is, not even the same person. So now a comment to all the Lilies out there who are comparing themselves to the photoshopped pictures on Instagram and in the magazines. Need I even say? This is not a real person anymore. I can continue on. The amount of things that can be changed to the whim of an editor. And suddenly, where did this picture even come from? It really literally gets to that point that we don't have anything that resembles what we started with. No one looks like this. This is a creation of pixel manipulation that started with a set of pixels that was Lily, and ended up with a set of pixels that wasn't anyone. When you compare yourself to what you're seeing out there, I have another video on why people feel like they're failures in life. They feel like they're failures in life because they're comparing themselves to these Photoshop, photo manipulated images that you see on Instagram. At the end of the story. So, good friend of mine from growing up, and we were business partners at one time. He wrote this. A few years ago I read about something from a Victoria's Secret model who said that she could not even live up to the images of herself. Her everyday self couldn't live up to the images of herself. She acknowledged the fact that these photo manipulations are so powerful that she as a real person couldn't even live up to the images of herself. So somewhere in here we lost Lily. Somewhere in this process, and we end up with some Frankenstein set of pixels that the computer has created. Photographers, you have got to think about this before you deliver a picture to your client that says, this is what you should look like. Too bad you don't look like this. And as a consumer, you need to always be thinking, no one actually looks like that. No one looks like that. Where do you stop in the editorial process? At what point? It's almost an ethical decision that as photographers and as photo editors, what message are we sending to the world? Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button. If you didn't enjoy this video, click the like button, leave me a comment, or just leave a comment or whatever. And share this with someone who thinks that they're not meeting the standard of the world. And see you in the next episode.